Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Today's video is all about rain gear for gentlemen that you can wear when you don't want to put on your Gore-Tex activewear when it's really wet outside. Normally, most kind of rain gear is polyester based and not very stylish, so we focus on the elegant aspects, but the good thing is there's not all that many things apart from maybe a trench coat, an umbrella, and good shoes. So let's dive right in. The number one item of outerwear for a rainy day, in my opinion, is the trench coat. If you're wearing tailored clothes, it's just an extension in terms of originality, style, and history of the suit. The trench coat is originally a military garment, and if you want to learn more about it, the history, the intricate details, and what makes a trench coat a trench, please check out our in-depth trench coat guide here. If you want to know if the classic Burberry trench coat is worth it or not, I suggest to check out this video here. In summary, a trench coat is made specifically for wet weather from cotton gabardine. I suggest you go with a double-breasted silhouette because it's more classic and it actually has a functional advantage because of the overlaying fabric. You are less likely to get wet on the inside. In terms of color, khaki or sand is the most classic variety. It goes with most outfits, a business suit as well as more casual garments, and because of that it works quite well. It can stain a bit more easily than, let's say, a black, navy or a gray trench coat, and if it's your first trench coat I always suggest to go with a khaki one. I find them so versatile, and especially if you can get a wool liner which extends the range you can wear it in because it keeps you warmer. And if you are on that route, I suggest to even go with a darker color, such as black. And if you live maybe in England where it rains a lot and temperatures are not extreme, having a third one may be a good idea. The second classic option are rubberized raincoats. Back in the day, it was like rubberized cotton. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that because the rubber is not breathable. And even though you don't get wet from the outside, you're still wet from the inside. Modern raincoats for gentlemen are often made out of synthetics, and while I'm in general not a big fan of synthetics, the advancements that have been made in fabric technology are quite stunning, and so things like Gore-Tex or event fabrics allow you to not get wet, all the while having a breathable garment, which is quite nice, especially if you're active. If you have to walk a lot, you definitely want something that is breathable. That being said, the cotton gabardine of a trench coat is water repellent and breathable, but it's by no means a performance fabric. Personally, I own a bunch of trench coats which are about knee length, and sometimes I want a shorter jacket, so I have this motorcycle style inspired jacket that is navy blue with big patch pockets. It's made out of a cotton canvas that is breathable, yet it was treated with a water repellent. It keeps me dry even when it's really rainy outside on a more casual day. Most modern raincoats come in a very simplistic, plain design. Oftentimes they're single-breasted and they feature a zipper because with buttons you'll be more likely to get wet. Sometimes you can also find them in reversible versions, which color is different or there may be a pattern. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the reversible garments. I don't own raincoats, I don't like them. I stick with a classic trench coat. Or if I go into more extreme terrain, I use the Event North 66 jacket with a hood. It's a shell liner that I can combine with fleece jackets or like Patagonia breathable underlayers. And that way I can ski at negative 20 or 30 degrees, but also just wear it when I'm hiking, for example. The third option for gentlemen are classic casual wax jackets. Basically, these are garments made out of cotton that have a waxy surface that creates a patina over time that's very sophisticated. At the same time, the wax is water repellent and so you stay dry. If you're strolling through a country garden or visit a historic house over the weekend, I find this kind of jacket to be your best bet. Some of the more well-known makers include Barber and Private White. I find that you can find these jackets oftentimes used with a nice patina already at a fraction of the retail price. So if you don't want to splurge on a garment like that, maybe that's the right option for you. Traditionally, they're cut very roomy. They have big patch pockets where you can store things in, sometimes even poacher pockets, so you could put in the pheasant or the rabbit that you just shot. Most people don't use their pockets for hunting or shooting anymore. That being said, the modern everyday carry can be quite large, and so having a jacket with lots of pockets can be advantageous. Also, when you travel. The fourth thing to consider for a gentleman are performance fabric that are based in a sartorial realm. For example, a few years back, Loro Piana introduced their storm system, which means you have high quality yarns that you would find in a regular suit jacket, but they're made water repellent and wind repellent, and because of that, they're quite suited for a rainy day. At the same time, the garment remains breathable and you get that soft cashmere or wool feel that you're used to from your regular sport coat, blazer, or suit. In terms of shoes and shoe care, I'm a big stickler for traditional leather dress shoes, and most of them can bear with some form of rain without a problem. Your feet will remain dry. If you pre-treat your shoes, you don't have to worry too much. So for a regular calf leather shoe with leather soles, I suggest you invest in a leather sole oil, and sometimes you can also find water repellent sprays that you spray on. Frankly, polishing your shoes on a regular basis will prevent the water from permeating the leather too quickly. Traditionally, suede leathers were not a good option for rainy days. However, in recent years, I found leathers that are tanned with a water repellent built in, so when you put water on it, it runs right off. And while it's not 100% waterproof, it's a lot better than what it used to be. So if you live in a rainy climate and you want to wear suede shoes, make sure you get the right leather. Now, some people may argue that you can waterproof any suede leather shoes with aftermarket water repellent sprays, and while that's true, it's never as good as if that process actually took place during the tanning and dyeing process, because the spray-on water repellent will wear off over time and you'll have to keep reapplying it. Now, you regularly get wet feet with your leather-soled dress shoes. It may make sense to invest in a pair of rubber-soled dress shoes. The two big brands are Vibram and Daynite. They both have quality products. I think the Vibram soles are lighter in weight. Daynite is much heavier, so it depends a bit on how heavy or lightweight you prefer your shoe to be. It's very common to see rubber soles on leather dress boots. Personally, that's where I usually apply them. I don't like them on my dress shoes, so if it's a rainy day outside, I opt for the boots. The third option you have is to go with overshoes or galoshes. It's an overshoe usually made out of vulcanized rubber or synthetics that you can wear on top of your dress shoe during winter months or heavy rains, and they protect your shoes considerably that way. Up until a few years ago, they were more a relic of the past, and you saw it a lot in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. There was a company by the name of Swims which introduced very colorful versions in orange and bright blue, and I think ever since, the overshoe has become more popular again. Personally, I always try to avoid galoshes simply because they make your shoe look a lot more bulky. However, if you have just a few dress shoes and you know it rains a lot and maybe you are on business trips a lot where you can only just bring one or two pairs of shoes, having a pair with you can really save your shoes and extend the lifetime considerably. If you're interested in those, Swims is definitely the big kid on the block. However, at $95, I find them quite expensive. There's another company from Sweden called Fred & Matt. They have a breathable material that covers the entire shoe that is hand sewn, because the Swims one, they leave the top part of your shoe exposed, otherwise it would be hard to get on. So either you do a little bit of research before you buy a pair of galoshes, or you wait for us to create an in-depth guide about them. Stay tuned. If you're into cordovan shoes, I suggest you really try to avoid wet weather with those, because it can lead to very ugly water stains which are hard to remove. To learn more about cordovan, please check out this guide here. So what if your leather dress shoes or your boots get really wet or soaked? The good thing is there is a solution for both scenarios. If your shoe has water stains, or if it is soaked or really wet, what you should do is to evenly wet the shoe. That seems counterintuitive, but by adding water back into the shoe and letting it dry in a natural way without artificial heat, you will have a nice leather again that has no more water stains. Make sure not to put them in the sun or in a radiator because that will damage your leather. A step-by-step tutorial would be too long for this video, but stay tuned for a guide in the near future. If you live in an area where it rains a lot or you have to deal with floods regularly, it pays to invest in some really sturdy rubber boots that are tall or rain boots that are 100% waterproof. In the US, popular choices include LL Bean, but frankly, I don't find them very attractive. Another famous option from Britain are the Hunter Wellies, and we discuss whether they're worth their money or not in this video here. If you want a luxury version of your rubber boots, go with the leather-lined ones from Le Chameau from France. However, they'll set you back $500. During the cold days of the year, a pair of unlined dressy leather gloves or even lined leather gloves that are waterproof can be a godsend. Because of that, at Fort Belvedere, we created leather that is waterproofed in the tanning process, so they remain soft, stylish, and elegant, yet waterproof. To learn more about these gloves, please check out our shop here. For gentlemen, a felt hat can be a great way to keep dry. They're usually made out of rabbit hair, which is naturally water repellent. However, that being said, the better option is to go with an umbrella because it's much wider and it really keeps you much drier. In my opinion, it's the primary accessory a man should have in the rain. If you travel a lot with carry-ons, big versions are sometimes difficult to bring along, even though quality makers such as Francesco Maglia have come up with a version that you can screw apart, but you have to be really determined to go with something like that. If you're at home, a proper full-length umbrella, sometimes with a handle made out of the same piece of wood as the stick or the cane, is a very elegant version. We have an in-depth umbrella guide on our website that you can check out for recommended makers and to learn about the differences of silk canopy or polyester canopies and the mechanisms, as well as horn tips and the different woods you can go with. Now, if you invest in a quality umbrella, it really looks the part, it keeps you dry, and it's very stylish. At the same time, it also attracts thieves. So whenever you're at the store, pay attention to your umbrella, because I know many people who had their very expensive umbrellas stolen from them, which is not just frustrating, but also a waste of money. For more specific details about this topic, please check out the rainwear guide for gentlemen on our website here. In today's outfit, I'm wearing a classic Burberry trench coat with a raglan sleeve. It has the D-rings on the belt, and I exchanged the factory buttons with some vintage buttons, which makes the whole ensemble unique. And even though there are thousands of Burberry trench coats out there, no one is like this one. I'm wearing this on top of a classic navy suit, white shirt, a red Macclesfield Needs tie from Fort Belvedere, as well as brown semi-brook shoes from Ace Marks. The socks are from Fort Belvedere. They're shadow striped socks in navy blue and yellow, which work well with the suit and contrast the shoes. The bold umbrella in green, red, and yellow is from Francesco Maglia in Milano, and instead of the regular handle, it has that little seat attachment, which can be quite handy when you're in a gallery or you're just tired of standing.